So, if you're a New Yorker approaching or over 65, you probably know that health insurance can feel like a giant, complicated puzzle. Well, today we're going to sit down and put those pieces together and hopefully make a whole lot of sense of it all.
Here's the game plan for today. We're going to start with the basics of just navigating the insurance landscape here in New York. Then, we'll dive into how to cover those tricky gaps in Medicare. After that, we'll look ahead, planning for your long-term future. And, really importantly, we'll make sure you know your rights as a consumer. Finally, we'll wrap up by decoding your dental plan. Let's jump right in.
You know, it really helps to think of this as a journey. There are a few key steps and decisions you'll need to make to get your healthcare future all lined up, and it all starts with knowing where to even begin.
And if you're looking at this question and thinking, yes, that's me, well, you are definitely not alone. It's a lot, right? But don't worry. The whole point of this explainer is to cut through that confusion and give you the clarity you need to make some really smart choices.
Okay, so first things first. Once you're enrolled in Original Medicare, that's Parts A and B, you'll notice pretty quickly that there are costs it just doesn't cover. We're talking deductibles, co-payments, you name it. And that's exactly where something called Medicare Supplement Insurance, or what everyone calls Medigap, comes into the picture.
The best way to think about Medigap is as a financial safety net. Original Medicare is your foundation, but it's got some holes in it. Medigap policies, which are sold by private insurance companies, are literally designed to patch those holes, covering a lot of the costs that would otherwise come straight out of your pocket.
Okay, this is incredibly important. You have a one-time 6-month open enrollment window to get a Medigap policy. It starts the month you turn 65 and are also enrolled in Medicare Part B. I can't stress this enough. Missing this window can have some really serious consequences down the road. This right here is your golden ticket. During these 6 months, you have what's called guaranteed issue rights. That's a fancy way of saying an insurance company can't turn you down or charge you more because of your health history. It doesn't matter. But if you miss this window, you might lose that protection forever. So timing is absolutely everything. Now, you do have a key choice to make here. With a standard Medigap plan, you have the freedom to see pretty much any doctor in the country who accepts Medicare. With a Medicare Select plan, you're usually limited to a network of doctors and hospitals, but your monthly premiums will be lower. It's the classic trade-off, complete freedom versus a lower cost.
All right, so we've covered the immediate stuff, those day-to-day medical bills. But now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Medigap is great for doctors' bills and hospital stays, but what about long-term care, like needing help at home or moving into a nursing facility? That, my friends, is a whole different ballgame and a different kind of insurance.
This quote really gets to the heart of it. The New York State program is special. It's not just about paying for care. It's a strategic way to protect your life savings if you ever find yourself needing to rely on Medicaid for that long-term care.
So how does it work? It's actually a pretty straightforward 4-step process. First, you buy a special, qualified partnership policy. If you end up needing long-term care, your policy pays for your care first. Once those benefits are used up, you can then apply for and get Medicaid. But, and here's the key, a portion of your personal assets will be completely protected. It's like a firewall for your savings.
Now, within this partnership program, there are basically two main approaches. Total asset protection plans are less common, but they do what they say. They can shield all of your assets from Medicaid's rules. What's more typical are the dollar-for-dollar plans. These protect an amount of your assets that's equal to the total benefits your policy paid out. Figuring out which one makes sense for you is a huge part of the planning process.
I know, navigating this market can feel a bit daunting, but here's the good news. You are not alone. New York has put some really strong consumer protection laws in place. And honestly, knowing your rights is the absolute best shield you have against bad advice or predatory sales practices. This is where you get to take back the power.
So you need to be on the lookout for these major red flags. New York law is crystal clear. These tactics are illegal. Twisting is when someone tries to deceptively convince you to switch policies when it's not in your best interest. High-pressure tactics, using fear to rush you into a decision. Cold lead advertising is when a sales call is disguised as an informational seminar or something else. And misrepresentation is, well, it's just plain lying. If you sense any of this, just walk away.
Here is another number you're going to want to remember. 30. That's how many days you have for what's called a free look period when you buy a Medigap policy. You can take it home, review it, and if you don't like it for any reason at all, you can return it for a full refund. No questions asked.
Here's a number your wallet will definitely like. New York actually offers a state income tax credit for 20% of the premiums you pay on a qualified long-term care insurance policy. That's a direct incentive from the state, trying to encourage all of us to plan ahead for our future care.
This isn't just a suggestion, this is a non-negotiable right. When you apply for a Medigap policy, the agent or the insurance company is legally required to give you this official guide. It's designed by the state to help you compare apples to apples so you can understand exactly what you're buying. It's an absolutely essential tool.
All right, we've covered the big stuff, medical gaps and long-term care. Now, let's turn our attention to something that affects pretty much everyone: dental insurance. These plans have their own unique set of rules and are almost always completely separate from your regular medical coverage.
If you look at this table, you'll start to see a pattern. Dental plans are really focused on prevention, so things like routine cleanings and checkups, usually covered. Basic restorative work like fillings and crowns, also usually covered. But when you get into the major stuff like root canals or braces, you'll often find that the coverage is much more limited or might not be there at all.
So here are the key things you need to know about how dental plans are actually built. They have their own deductibles, separate from medical. Sometimes there's a waiting or probationary period before they'll cover major work. There's also usually a cap on how much they'll pay out in a single year. But the good news is, to encourage you to go, they often cover preventative care like cleanings with no deductible at all.
So, as we wrap things up here, I want to leave you with this question. After seeing all these different pieces, from those critical Medigap enrollment windows to planning for long-term care, the answer starts to become pretty clear, doesn't it? The single most important thing you can do is to start planning now. Being proactive, asking the tough questions, and really understanding your rights, those are the keys to building a secure and healthy future for yourself here in New York.